Hello and welcome to workshop number 3 of the ASAP Academic Success Workshop Series. Today, our focus is going to be on preparing for final exams. So the goals of today's workshop is to speak first about why exam preparation matters. We're also going to discuss some proven strategies for exam preparation, and I'm going to share some study tools and resources that can be helpful while you're preparing for these last exams. Some of these resources will include some phone apps for productivity and also for um, organization of your study schedule and how to create a study schedule as well. We're also going to spend a little bit of time speaking about the importance of mental and physical health during this final exam time. And lastly, you'll have an opportunity to sign up for the ASAP Final Flow Zone, which is hour-long sessions of independent study here on campus, where our students can have a quiet, focused, supportive environment to prepare for any final exams. So jumping right into it, why is exam prep important? First, exam prep helps you to identify areas in which you might need a little extra review. It will help you to see, okay, these are some topics that I feel more confident in, and these are others that I feel I need to spend a little bit more time in. Once you know that, that's very helpful because then you can create a study schedule that works around this to allow more times for the subjects that you feel a little bit less sure about, and then spending less time on the ones that you feel more confident in, basically making the most of your time and your energy. Exam prep also helps to reinforce your learning, helping you to review the material to really solidify the information that you've learned. So this helps you to retain this information so that when it comes time for the exam, you can more easily recall it. It also helps you to connect the different concepts, helping you see the bigger picture of how these ideas link together. Of course, preparing for final exams is important because the better you do on your final exams, the likely this will have a positive impact on your overall grade in the class, and ultimately then leading to an improved GPA as well. Enhanced time management is also a benefit of preparing for exams because the work that you're doing to create a study schedule and to hold yourself accountable to show up, to do the preparation that is needed to help you prioritize your time and the tasks. These are great skills, not only within the college environment, but really in life, even outside of college. So enhanced time management is a great side effect, I should say, of being able to prepare for your exams. The more prepared you feel, typically your stress will reduce, right? When we don't feel prepared for an exam, a lot of anxiety can raise. And going into an exam in an anxious state is really not the best state of mind to be in when you're trying to be able to recall information and do your very best. So the more prepared you feel, the less stress you'll feel, the less anxiety you'll feel. Ultimately, setting yourself up for an experience where you feel confident and ready to perform your very best. So, strategy number 1 going into exam preparation. The first thing that you want to do is to create a game plan. Okay, in order to do that, you have to first identify your exam dates, times, and locations. You want to get organized by listing all your final exams in one place, indicating the day, the time, and the location of each exam. Okay, it's really important that you make sure when you know when each exam is not only taking place, but also where it's taking place. Okay, is it an online exam? Is it in person? If it is in person, is it in a different building or room number than the course has been meeting in throughout the semester? Okay, this is possible since there's so many final exams going on at the same time. The location of where you go for your exam may be different than where you've been attending all semester. So make sure you pay extra close attention to the location. Next, you want to make note of exams that are cumulative, open book, or essay-based. Okay, and the reason why is because depending on the format of your final, this will alter the way in which you prepare for it. So for example, cumulative exams, they cover the material you learn over the whole course of the semester. And exams like this typically require much more extensive review. Much more time is needed to be able to review that amount of information and really be able to retain it. When it comes to open book exams, it's important to remember that even though you can bring your notes, slides, textbooks, etc., you don't want to assume that you can just look everything up. Oftentimes, when students do this, they typically tend to run out of time because they're dependent on their notes or their textbooks so much, they haven't really reviewed the information. So they're kind of just going in hoping to find answers as they go. This is not the best approach, even though you do have that resource available to you to reference. That's what it should be used for, though, just as a reference, not as your end all be all. You should go in still prepared with a general understanding of the concepts and having your notes, your slides, your textbooks, everything organized so that you can easily go through them if you want to just do a quick check of maybe an answer you're a little bit unsure of. When it comes to essay-based exams, these obviously require a lot of in-depth writing with a lot of specific details. So it's a good idea to write out some sample essays with as much information, but with as little words as possible. So, for example, instead of writing full sentence paragraphs, instead just write some bullet points to answer each of the essays. Um, it's much easier for students to memorize bullet points of information and then build upon those bullet points when they're creating an essay the day of the exam than to create full essays and try to memorize those essays in full paragraph form. Next, you want to highlight which exams will require the most preparation because not all exams are created equal. Some, as we just mentioned, will require more preparation than others. You want to assess the difficulty of each exam as well, considering the amount of material that needs to be reviewed and the complexity of the subject and your general overall familiarity with the content. From there, you could then prioritize which exams will require the most prep and spend more time there and a little bit less time on some of the subjects that you feel a little bit more confident in. You don't want to neglect those subjects completely. Of course, you want to do a review, even of um, subjects and exams that you feel pretty confident going into. But again, spending more of your time and energy on the challenging subjects will help you to make the most out of your time and your energy. All right, from there, you want to create a study timetable where you're allocating specific number of hours, a number of days that you will prepare to review for each subject based on how much time you feel you will need for the review. Some tools that can help you create this study timetable include Google Calendar, or you could use a cell phone calendar that comes built in on your phone. There's also two great apps known as My Study Life and Notion. And if you are more of a paper planner or calendar kind of person, that's great too. Whatever tool you choose, just make sure it's something you're actually going to use. Okay, the good thing about the digital tools that I like to think about is because your phones are typically on you, you have access to these tools at any given point. So it makes it really easy for you to look at your calendar, for you to make adjustments on the spot. And especially if you have a schedule and something comes up, you could easily go right back to it on your phone and make adjustments as needed. Just to kind of give you a visual of what a sample block schedule or a study schedule will look like. This is just one example of what you can do either on a physical pen with a physical pen and paper and planner or on a digital calendar. As you can see here, there are specific days and times that are blocked off for study, even showing when the student will wake up, take some breaks, grab some lunch, even wind down for the evening. All of this is blocked out and it's color coded to help identify what this time slot is dedicated for. So the benefit of doing this is helps you to see in your day where you have time to do this review. And when you actually write it down, it's as if you're making a commitment to it, almost like when you make an appointment. You put it on your calendar, you save that day and time, you know where you need to be. And more likely than not, you will actually show up. So if you do the same thing when it comes time to prepare for your final exams, you're allocating these specific days and times, set some alerts, you're much more likely to follow up and do what you set out to do, right? Strategy number 2, trying to limit distractions and stay as focused as possible. Now, if you struggle with distractions, please know you're not alone. There are so many different things that are pulling for our attention, lots of different distractions out there, which make it really hard to stay focused. So let's discuss some strategies to limit some of these distractions. I'm also going to provide some helpful tools and some apps that can assist you if this is something you're really having a hard time with. So the first thing is you want to silence notifications on your phone and use focus mode when you're sitting down to study. The distractions from your phone, like the pings, the app alerts, the notifications, they are a major barrier to deep work. So use this built-in tool to your advantage. You can find focus mode both on iPhones and Android phones. If you're working off of like an Apple computer or a Windows computer, there's also an option for Do Not Disturb. These feature actually mutes unnecessary interruptions. So once again, you don't get those distractions and you could stay in the zone and focus on what it is you're doing. The second tip is to study in focus blocks because studying in long, unstructured stretches of time often leads to burnout. And after an extended amount of time, you're much more likely to get distracted. So instead of sitting for 2 or 3 hours of straight study time, consider breaking up your study time into structured blocks. Um, Something that has become really, really popular, a very well-known technique when approaching studying is known as the Pomodoro technique. And the Pomodoro technique basically is based off of the science that has been done that shows that on average adults have an attention span of about 25 minutes. So with that being said, the way the Pomodoro technique works is for 25 minutes you set a timer, and during that 25 minutes you give your full focus and energy to what it is that you're doing. Okay, working on a paper, studying for an exam, whatever it is. After that 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. Get up, take a stretch, grab a cup of coffee, grab some water, get out and get some fresh air for a couple minutes. Then you could come back and do another 25-minute focus cycle. After 4 cycles of this 25-minute on, 5-minute break, it's recommended to take a slightly longer break from like 15 to 30 minutes. This method has been shown to improve focus and retention. It helps you to manage your time a little bit better and also to create more mental endurance over longer sessions. The benefit of breaking your study time into these 25-minute time frames is also very helpful because for many, you have a lot of other responsibilities that you might be balancing. So 25 minutes in the morning, 25 minutes at lunch, 25 minutes before bed, if you do this over an extended period of time, like 2 weeks, this will allow you to get a significant amount of study time in without it feeling so overwhelming. Plus, again, the retention rate within that 25 minutes is higher than if you were to just sit for a straight hour, 2 hours trying to cram information into your brain. At some point, it becomes harder and harder to take in any additional information. Um, you can also consider some different website blockers that will block social media, streaming sites, online shopping, even if that's something you tend to go to and you're feeling stressed or just bored, which can, again, give you an opportunity to really stay focused on task. So along with that, some tools you might want to consider using if you're really struggling with distractions. The first thing is noise canceling headphones. Okay, now I know there are a lot of great brands out there that maybe are name brands, a little bit more expensive, and that's fine and good if that's what you prefer to buy. But if that's not really in your budget, I just want to share that there are actually a lot of great, affordable noise canceling headphones out there. And in one of the previous workshops I did, a student actually shared that they had bought a pair of noise canceling headphones from Five Below for $5 and said that they work really well. So if that's something you think you could benefit from, if you find that you're often getting very distracted because you're in a noisy environment, there's a lot of action going on around you, noise canceling headphones could be a great investment. And again, doesn't have to be um, really expensive to be a great and helpful tool. And if you invest in it now, as you prepare for finals, you could continue to use these throughout the semester as you're preparing for other exams. There's some other apps here that I've included: Forest, Cold Turkey, Freedom, and Flipped, which are all very helpful if you really struggle with the distractions and the notifications on your phone and you feel like you need a little bit of extra support in this area. These apps are wonderful to help with that. And lastly, as I mentioned here, the Pomodoro technique, this app Focus To Do combines both the Pomodoro technique and a to-do list. So you could actually write down what you are looking to get done, like different exams you're studying for, and then have the built-in Pomodoro technique to track you and your progress towards completing those things. Definitely recommend this one. If you don't feel like downloading an app, you could simply use a timer on your phone as well. That works too. All right, strategy number 3, using active recall and spaced repetition. Okay, so active recall is a study technique that forces your brain to retrieve information from memory instead of just having you passively read through pages and pages and pages of notes trying to retain the information. Active recall actually involves you actively quizzing and engaging with the material. So quizzing yourself, testing your knowledge on the topic um, to strengthen your memory and to improve your long-term retention of this material. So a couple of ways to use active recall is through the use of flashcards, creating practice questions based on what it is you're studying, doing a summary of what you've read, and also teaching material to somebody else. So let's just quickly talk about those techniques. First and foremost, flashcards. Okay, everybody's aware of flashcards. You may or may have not used these in your past, um, classes, but this is basically a straightforward strategy that employs the active recall technique by engaging your active learning. So simply by writing down a fact or information on one side and then writing the answer on the other side, this allows you to test your knowledge. And as you are answering questions right, putting those cards to the side and then focus on the ones that you are having trouble with, and then keep re-reviewing those. The constant repetition of this ultimately will lead you to retain that information and be able to recall it the day of the exam. At the bottom here, I've included 3 different online apps that will allow you to make digital flashcards. So if you're not really into the paper flashcards, that's fine. Digital apps are wonderful for this. The good thing about the digital apps too is that many of these apps have built-in flashcard sets already created. So if you type in a particular topic or a subject that you're studying, you may actually find some flashcards on that material already have been created. So this cuts down on the amount of information you have to actually input into the app. So I would definitely recommend it. It also can be a fun way to engage with the material as well, as a lot of these apps have like game versions where they take the material and sort of make it into a game. It also helps keep track of the information you're getting right and flagging the questions that you're getting wrong, so that it helps to reinforce that information that you're struggling with until you start getting those answers correct. And the good thing about this too, again, since your phone is typically on you most of the time, if you have 10 minutes while you're waiting for the bus, 15 minutes waiting for an appointment, you're on your lunch break, you have 30 minutes, you could quickly pull out your phone and do a quick flashcard review on one of these apps. I definitely recommend it. The second strategy, which is generating questions from your notes, This method actually helps you to look at the material in a different way. So, looking at like a paragraph and trying to think, what are some questions that a professor could come up with based on this information that I just read? And start to approach the material that way. Likely, this is a really good way to be able to prepare because some of these questions are probably very relevant and may even show up on your exam. Summarizing material can also be really helpful because you could take large bits of information and then try to summarize it in as few words as possible while still taking away the main theme. That could help you to better retain the information. And lastly, having an opportunity to teach someone material is a great way to reinforce what you know. Because if you're able to teach it to somebody else, that means that you really have a solid grasp on what it is that you're reviewing. Okay, so if you have a friend, a family member, um, you know, even a peer from your class, this is a great study strategy. So going along with that, um, studying with a friend or creating study groups. So this is something you're looking to do, it's just really important to make sure that you're choosing focused, reliable peers. Okay? Not all friends make great study partners, so you want to make sure you're choosing wisely. Students who are serious about learning, who want to stay on task, they have a similar academic mindset and goals as you do. And once you have anywhere from 2 to 4 people, okay, that's probably the max. You don't want to make a group too big because then it can get not only challenging for scheduling and trying to coordinate schedules to meet up, but also larger groups tend to become a little bit more social focused than academic focused. It can be hard to, have everybody stay on track. So in the small group, you can utilize this teaching method where everybody takes an opportunity in teaching a certain portion of the material that you're reviewing. It also could be really good because the way in which another student might explain the information to you might help you to better understand it, or be a little bit clearer on the material as well. Because sometimes just the way in which the material is presented to us, if it's the way we learn best, we can retain that information in a different way. Plus, it's nice to have a little of support when you're going through this. I know finals can be a stressful time. If you're working with somebody else who's kind of going through it with you, that could be a really supportive environment and be a great opportunity to kind of relax, socialize, and learn at the same time. There are great places around campus for you to study, including the library, the Oakland cafeteria. As the weather gets nicer, we have a lot of benches around campus. There's even a lake right up the block, different parks around the campus as well. So if you have the opportunity to meet in person, these are some great opportunities. Understandably, lots of students have different schedules, and it can be very hard to meet in person. Don't let that discourage you from meeting with um, a fellow student, though, to study. You could utilize virtual study rooms, such as through Zoom um, or Microsoft Teams, which you can access through your CUNY Microsoft Office 365 account. So you can log on from literally anywhere. So even if you have a break in between your job, you could log on and meet with your teammates or classmates for a little bit to do a quick review. So again, don't feel limited by schedules alone or by space and time. Consider these online tools, and you'll see that things could be a lot more flexible. So strategy number 5, it's very, very important to remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to make sure that your wellness, your brain, your body are still being cared for, because it's very hard to perform at your top ability if you're feeling exhausted and you're not really staying hydrated and eating foods that fuel your body and mind. So, another purpose of making this final review plan in advance is to hopefully avoid having you cram the night before or 2 nights before, staying up late trying to, get all this information in a short amount of time. If you plan in advance and you spread out your study time, the hope and the goal is that you'll still be able to get sufficient sleep. right? Because sleep is so very important for not only your mental and physical needs, but for your ability to actually be able to recall information that you have been studying. It's not helpful if you stay up, do an all-nighter, and then sleep through your exam the next day, or show up completely exhausted. It's much better if you do a light review the night before and get a good night's sleep so that you show up in your best form. Okay. There are also great apps to help go along with this if you're struggling getting into like a sleep cycle. If you're feeling like your mind is racing, Calm, Sleep Cycle, and White Noise Light are great apps to consider looking into for that. And also, getting a little physical activity is very helpful in keeping your blood going, circulating, and keeping you alert if you're feeling tired. Just taking a brisk 10-minute walk and then going back to studying can really help to keep you more sharp and less fatigued. And these two apps, Mova and Google Fit, are really great in helping to give you encouragement and nudges, reminding you that physical activity is still important and to try to get up and move a little bit. So when it comes to the day before the exam and exam day, some tips. First and foremost, you want to make sure the night before you have everything packed that you need. Your ID, 2 pens, 2 pencils, some snacks, water. Have all this ready so that you're not rushing around the next morning. Your day starts off much better if you feel prepared going into it and you're not running late. The day before, just do a light review. Okay, it shouldn't be a cram session. It should just be a light review of what you've been studying throughout this expanded time of like a week or so. Once again, getting a good night rest, making sure you're not overloading on caffeine, because yeah, caffeine could give you a little bit of an energy boost for a moment, but we all know that what comes after that is a crash. So you want to try to avoid that and keep that balance. If you're feeling really anxious as you're preparing for exam, trying to sleep at night, or when you sit down before the exam, a great way to reduce your anxiety and lower those nerves is a technique known as box breathing. And the way that box breathing goes is that you would breathe in through your nose slowly to the count of 4. Then you hold that breath, again in your mind, just counting to 4 slowly, and then exhaling that breath through your mouth, slowly counting to 4 once again. And then lastly, you hold that breath for 4 seconds, slowly counting to 4, and then you start the cycle over again. So to get the most benefit, it's recommended that you do this. You repeat this cycle 3 to 5 times, because doing so actually activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is directly related to lowering stress and anxiety. This is a practice that you could do anywhere. You could do it while you're in the car, on the bus, and right when you're sitting for the exam as well. So I understand going into this time period, many students can become a little stressed, they can become anxious. Um, in addition to that, there might be some outside stuff that's going on as well that might be impacting your ability to stay focused, to be able to even prepare for exams. So I know I shared this at the last workshop, but there are a lot of great resources available to help you if you feel like you need a little bit of extra support. On campus, we have the QCC Counseling Center where you can meet with a counselor in person, over the phone, or virtually. And then these two down here, the NYC Well, NYC 988, are great resources where you could connect with mental health support counselors either over the phone or through text, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Even if you feel like you don't necessarily need this information right now, maybe you feel like this is not something you're interested in, it doesn't hurt to take down this information just in case you ever do feel this is something you might be interested in at a later point, or if you run into a friend or a family member that you feel like could benefit from these services. Take and share. QCC also does have 24-hour 7 confidential crisis support texting service that you could text the word CUNY to this number right here to access that. And lastly, there is a service or a platform, I should say, known as Together All, where peers are able to sign up, log in, and get support from other peers. So lots of times we could feel like we're kind of going through this alone, we're struggling, maybe You don't have a lot of people who you're close to, who you feel like you could connect to and kind of express the challenges you might be experiencing. Together All is a great platform to get that support from peers. And if you're interested in this, you could go onto QCC's website. In the search bar, just type in Together All, and you'll be brought to the platform. Lastly, you always like to share this information, but these are some amazing mental health and self-care apps. Each one focuses on somewhat of a different area. So depending on what it is you're looking to get some extra support in, one of these might be more beneficial or useful to you than the other. But again, it doesn't hurt to just take this information down, check out these apps, and see if they can help. Okay. Finally, um, ASAP will be holding something that we're calling the final flow zone, which is basically an opportunity for students to attend these study-long individual study sessions that are in a structured, distraction-free area that is quiet and supportive, and it allows you to take that time on campus to focus and review any material that you'd like to. The schedule is posted here. These are the days and times that we'll be holding these final flow zone hour-long time slots. And we're asking that all of our students sign up for at least one of these time slots. You could do so by either scanning the QR code or by going to this website here. If you are interested in attending more than one, please, we encourage you to attend as many as you like. These hour-long sessions will be held in the CUNY Start office, which is located in the left side of the W building. So once you come in, you'll be asked just to scan in, to sign in, to track your attendance, and then you'll have an opportunity to take a seat and again, work on whatever it is you would like to work on within that time frame. With that being said, I want to thank you for your participation. Um, we hope that this information proves to be helpful in getting you prepared for your final exams. Remember, it's never too early to start at least planning how you are going to prepare for your exams so that, again, you could keep your time balanced, you could feel confident going into your exams without feeling totally burnt out from cram sessions. Really want to try to avoid that. So we want to wish you the best of luck on your final exams. If you have any questions, please reach out to your advisor, to the ASAP office. We're here to help and support you.